Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is the first time I'm going live in the afternoon, so I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. If you are here, go ahead and send a little wave down in the chat so I know you're here. And before we get started, I'll just take a couple of minutes and let anyone that's going to jump on. I know there's some people that said they can't make it, so they were going to watch the replay later. And before we get going, I just wanted to ask, are you experiencing spring weather where you are, or are you still having winter weather? So here we still have a bit of snow, but it is melting and it's 1 degree Celsius today. And so it's sunny and warm and it feels like spring is on the way. So that's great. So today, what I wanted to talk about was I just wanted to kind of recap the last series of videos that I did on decluttering and organizing all the paperwork and papers that come into our home every day. And so we're going to do a quick recap of that. And I also want to take your questions and get to those. So please feel free to go ahead and put your questions down in the chat. I'd love to answer those and just give you more information about specific topics if you want. And so thank you so much for being here. First thing I wanted to talk about was the video I made, the first in the series on organizing paper clutter with this simple system. And that is where I showed you how I have a wall organizer by the back door, and that's where all the incoming papers and mail go every day. And so I talked about how, just setting up something, anything that works for your family, like maybe it's a tray on a dresser or maybe it's a drawer, but just having one place to be able to put everything and everyone knows that in the house. And so then after showing that, what I talked about was how then I take about 5 minutes or not even every day to just clean that out and sort through it and organize those papers. And so then I showed you how I do that with this simple acrylic organizer that I keep on the counter in the kitchen. And so I explained that. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that video, go ahead back in there. And then I also have a free download in that video. And I talked about just having a place for emergency numbers. And so this is a free download in that video that you can grab. And so go ahead and watch that video. And one of the things I talked about in that video was having a tickler system. And a tickler system is just a great way to organize, concert tickets or invitations or anything like that that comes into the home. And you want that information, but then you don't have to record everything in your planner or in your phone or on the family's like wall calendar, because you can just reference that. And I know a lot of tickets and all that kind of stuff are digital, but I do find that I'm still using the tickler, especially for like requisitions for medical things, maybe lab work or MRIs and things like that. And so, and I did have quite a few questions come in about, organizing medical paperwork in that video. And so I did then get to that in a later video, and I showed you how I do organize those papers. And so a question that did come up in that video in the comments was, how I organize like receipts and, maybe reimbursing people in the household that have bought things and then like you need to reimburse them for that. And so I will get to that because I do use that as a part of my budgeting planner. And so that is going to be an upcoming video that I'm going to make. And so I will talk more in detail about that. And then somebody did ask about keeping tax documents, and everybody's situation is different, depending if you're, self-employed or in a business, or you get, T4s or W4s. And so like for me in our situation, usually I keep tax documents for about 7 years before they're destroyed. And so please just checks with your tax professional to make sure on that. But that is what works for us and what we do. And so I have had some interest of people wanting me to explain more about, how I organize that and what I do keep and what I do shred. And so that will be coming up as well. So stay tuned for that. And then another video that I talked about in this series was organizing printed recipes. And so I shared in that video how I have 9 binders, and they're, divided by different categories. And so this particular one is sauces and side dishes. And so these binder covers as well, you can download for free in that video. And I have a couple of different ones. These are ones that your kids can color if you want, or there's ones that are just plain. So you can go ahead and grab those. And these are my favorite binders of all time. I love these. These are the Staples Better binders. And it's because they have like rubber on the edge here. And they're kind of like plastic too. And they're just super durable. Like I absolutely love these for school or homeschooling or organizing recipes, stuff that you use a lot. These binders really hold up to that wear and tear. I've had these in using these 4 recipes for, I think it's been 10 years that I've made these, like 10 years ago. And they are still fantastic to this day. And then what I do in these binders is I have then subcategories. So this one is sauces and side dishes. And then inside the different tabs, one of them is sides. And then I've also got sauces, but then I also have dressings and spices. Because for me, I know that when it says sauces on the front, I know that those other categories are in here. And so for me, I don't ever buy salad dressings. I make my own. I try to avoid seed oils. So I make salad dressings from avocado oil or olive oil usually. And so, and then also spices, I like to make my own spice mixes because I find it's just way more economical to do that. So I make my own like taco seasoning and ranch seasoning. And then the recipe is in there. And the reason, like I know in that video, a lot of people said that they don't print recipes and they use an app called Paprika and other different apps that people use, and that works great for them. And that is awesome. I really want you to do what works for your family. And I really hope that my videos just give you some tips and inspiration. For me, the reason I choose not to use apps like that is because I have a lot of kids and I want my husband and my children to be able to access the recipes if I'm not around, because we have chosen in our house not to give our children access to cell phones. And they do have computers and we do use those, for school for things, but it isn't something that we use for recipes and things like that. And so this is a way for everyone in our house to have access to recipes. And also, not currently where we're living, but where we just had moved from, we experienced a lot of power outages there. And so then the internet isn't available and you don't have access to that. So for me, it made much more sense for our whole situation to have recipes printed. And I explained in that video how it's really easy to maintain these because in the fronts of these particular folders that I use, and I linked those in that video if you want to check them out. I can put recipes here in the front that we want to try. And then once we do know that we like them, we can go ahead and add them into the pages. And because I started these so long ago, a lot of these front ones are done with construction paper, and I cut them to be this size. And then that way I could glue several recipes, because lots of these are actually cutouts from like magazines and newspapers, because I had started this before internet recipes were even that big of a thing. And I actually wanted a way to organize more of my recipes that I'd cut out of magazines and newspapers and things. And then someone in that video had asked me a question because they saw that I had sorry, I'm just trying to grab all this stuff here. Saw that I had a recipe box in my cupboard with my cookbooks. And I do. This recipe box I've had since like my wedding shower. So like a long time ago. And this is back, when recipes you would get passed down from your mom or grandma or aunts or people from church, or you'd go to like a potluck and somebody would make something and you really liked it. So you'd ask, hey, can you share the recipe? And so these are like, handwritten recipe cards. And so this is one that I got. I remember when we were first married, chicken and broccoli Alfredo, and I would make that. And so, and then this one is from my sister, like a green bean bake that she makes all the time. And it's really great. So I have this also written on a card. So this is for recipes that, and then like my mom used to make us kids Play-Doh all the time when we were little. And so that recipe's in here and things like that. So that's what I use this recipe box for. And so going forward, really, I don't add to that because now if I find things, they're usually printed off the internet now and go into the binders. And so I hope that answers some more of the questions that did come in from that video for you. And again, if you have any questions, those of you that are here live, please go and put them in the chat. And I'd love to get to your questions if you have any or comments or anything. So again, there's free printables available for both of those videos. And then the next video I shared was on important papers. So let me just grab this a second. And I kind of then shared how I organize once the things come from, the mail and bills or things that need to be dealt with, they come to my desk. That's in our basement. And that's actually where I'm sitting right now today, just because it's lunchtime at my house and my kids are all upstairs having lunch right now. because I homeschool. So that's what's going on here right now. And so this is on my desk, and this is how I organize and sort all of the papers that, I deal with on Fridays. I explained in that video. And so in part of that video, I talked about how I file and keep important papers like, birth certificates or passports, because even if you go, as much digital as you can, you're still always going to have things like that you do need to keep. Like marriage certificate and military records, if that's part of your family, and wills and insurance policies and all that kind of thing. So in that, I created this for you, and this is everything that you may or may not apply to you, but this is what I keep inside of my fireproof safe. And I explained that the reason I use a fireproof safe and not just like an emergency binder that some people do is just because we have been evacuated before from wildfires. And, if something like that were to ever happen and you couldn't get out in time or you weren't home, I just want that protection, so that those documents like passports and things, I just don't want to have the headache of having to try to replace those if I can help it. So that's why I do take that step and put them in that fireproof safe. And so explain that in there. And so go ahead and grab this, free printable there, if that's something that, you want to help putting together. And that just gives you some ideas and a starting place. And I did put in the spot on there that you can add, your own categories, and also just a place you can write some notes. And so, use that, however it's going to work best for you. And so, a question that came up with that video on someone in the comments was they just asked how I fit in projects that take hours, just because it only takes me about 10 minutes every Friday to kind of pay bills and do the normal filing. And so I wanted to just expound on that a bit, because there definitely are projects that do take longer. And the one thing that she had mentioned was like planning homeschooling. And that is a big project that takes a lot of work. And so for me, I homeschool my kids 10 months of the year, and then I take 2 months off in the summer. And so in those summer months, that's when because I am not actively teaching during the day, like after I get off of this, I'll go be teaching science this afternoon. And so then that allows me to have that time in the day to be planning for next year in the summer, because I'm not actively teaching. And so for me, that definitely takes longer. And I try to get all of that done in the summer so that I don't have to revisit that. And how it works where I am is we have homeschool facilitators, and they're teachers, and they meet with you twice a year. And so I do have to take the time before those meetings to, gather all the information and let the facilitator know what we have accomplished and show them some of the samples of the kids' work. And so that does take some time, and you really just can't do it all, and either can I. And so you do have to drop some things from that week. So usually for me, what will get cut out is, cleaning. Like it'll just have to get dropped, and I'll have to use the time that I do spend in the day to clean to get ready for those homeschool meetings. And so the great thing is I have a really good system that I use, for cleaning routine. And so if I miss like a few days or even a week, and then I get right back into it, things don't get out of control because I haven't let it go forever. And so that's what I would say if you do have bigger projects that come up. And another thing that she had mentioned was, planning for big, holiday get-togethers or dinners with your family, because that does take time. You have to plan the menu, you have to invite people, you have to do the shopping and the cooking and all of that. So again, you have to, maybe when those extra things come up, cut out something else. And so, and also my cleaning routine, I only do it Monday to Friday. And so that leaves the weekend for those kind of extra projects. So I do, plan for that so that I'm not just constantly like cleaning and doing things. And so I hope that helps answer some more of those kind of questions. And again, if you have any others, please put them in the comments in the chat. And even after this is posted and you're watching the replay, please ask questions in the comments, because I'll get to those then, and I'll just type back a message to you. And so then another video I made in this series about paper was warranties and manuals. And so I talked in there, there was no like freebie or anything with that, because I don't really think that is necessary for that system. But I just have a file box, and I showed you my file box that I've had since graduating. That was like part of my, graduation gift. My mom had packed that box up with a bunch of stuff, and I actually had used that for keeping track of like college notes and papers and stuff at college for a time. And so, anyway, I've used it for different things over the years, and so now I'm using it for my warranties and manuals. So keep it simple. Use a banker box. Doesn't have to be complicated. And so for me, I sort things, by um, product type mostly. And so I'll just show you one folder. Sorry, as an example, I just have everything sitting here beside me so I could lift it up and show you. So this is anything like computer related. And so in here, we have different like Chromebooks and laptops and printers and things to use for homeschool. And so then anytime sometimes it'll be a warranty that comes with, sometimes maybe you purchase Apple Care for your, MacBook or something like that. So I always make sure I keep the receipts and I keep them with the manual or the product, and they show that in the video. And that's just been a really important thing, because one of my boys had bought like a Nintendo game thing, and it did come with like a warranty, and the screen did something funky happen with the screen. And so because we had that receipt and that stuff, I was able to get that taken care of for him. And so I just explained in there that it is a way to, save money. And what I found over the years is one of the biggest things is just keeping your appliances and vacuums and all that stuff maintained and cleaned, and so that they last you as long as possible. And for me in my household, because we vacuum daily, vacuums don't last us as long as maybe some other people, because we have, 7 people and a dog. So our vacuums get well used. And so it's really important that I keep them as maintained as possible, so I get as long of life out of them as possible, because I've gone through many vacuums over the years. But I do everything I can to keep them running as long as I can. And so one person had mentioned that they, for 10 years, they only access the manuals online, that they don't keep them. And that's great. Like if that system works for you, that is amazing. And for me, I like to hang on to the paper ones that come with. And I have the room in my house, so it doesn't really take up room that I can't spare to have that box of the manuals. And so for me, I like to keep them because I have them, like they were sent to me in the package that I bought anyway. And that way, like I mentioned before, where we lived last time, we had a lot of power outages. And so for me, especially like for our generator, if I needed to troubleshoot or like know how to change the oil or whatever on the generator, I don't want to not have the paper manual, because if the power is out, then we also don't have internet. And so for me, that's why. So there are different reasons why different people choose different systems. And the thing that you need to do is just figure out what works best for you. And also, what's a simple way, that a routine that works for your life and your systems, and what works best for you to easily maintain. Because it doesn't matter how good we set things up, if we don't stay with them or stay consistent or keep them up, then there's really no point to them. So the thing with the warranties and manuals that I found, as long as I maintain it every year, then it's, I can very easily see like, oh, we don't have that anymore, and remove it. And like I explained, it just really helps, when I'm selling something, the buyers really appreciate that, because they can tell that, hey, this person took care of this. This is a good purchase. Oh, there's an original manual. Like it really does help. Like people appreciate that. And I appreciate that also as a buyer if I'm buying something. And so, so those are some reasons why I keep, the paper copies. And so you got to just figure out what works best for you. And I really just hope that these videos, give you inspiration and tips that you can then take to work in your own home for you. And so, if you've missed any of those videos, you can go check them out in my Organized Paper, the playlist, and it's got those videos all there. And then this live will also live there with those videos too. So you can always go back and reference any of that. And then you can also, access any of the free printables there. And so if any of you that are here live, if you do have any comments or anything, go ahead and put them in the chat, because I'd love to know that you're here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them down there for me. And then a couple of things I wanted to mention to you was I've talked about my budget binder and then also the tax document like organization, how to kind of organize that and what to keep and what to shred. And those videos will be coming. I just want to take a break a bit from paper right now, and I'll come back to those after we get to what we're going to get to next. And but I just want to just show, like I did talk about this before, so I will be making a video, but it's going to be just a little bit before that, because what I want to do next, actually, for a little while, is get to my weekly homemaking system. And I just felt like this is a really great time because a lot of us are thinking about, cleaning and getting our homes in shape before the spring and summer. And so I'm going to explain in the whole system, like why I actually don't spring clean, and my system and how it works and how it really fits into my day-to-day life, with how busy I am. And so it's a way that I've found to maintain my home without the overwhelm and without it getting like out of control, because I really do like having a clean and tidy home, but I needed to find a way that I could do that with how busy my life is. And so I'm sure a lot of you are like that. And so I wanted to share that system next. And I've been doing this for years. And I use this chart, and I'm not sure if it's been seen kind of in the background of anything, but it's on a clipboard in my laundry room. And so, but I have it in Word because, Canva and other programs weren't a thing back when I made this, because I've been using it for so long. And so what I've done is I've taken the time to basically retype and remake that whole thing into Canva. And so it's going to be something that you can download. And because it's in Canva, then it's something that you can print it out and use it as is, or you can customize it and edit it and change things around that works for your life. Because you're not going to do things on the same day in the same way that I do. But I want to share this with you so that you can have something in place. And then I'm going to be, sharing the whole system and the details of how it works. And I'll make that chart available in that video. So that's going to come next week. So be looking for that. And then after that, you'll have a few days to like get that downloaded and make any tweaks if you want. And then I'm going to be actually doing a daily video showing you what I do and the reasons why, and explaining, because I do things differently, and I will explain, the whys and the hows and how it works for me to keep my house running. And so that's actually going to be 20 daily videos that I'm going to share. And so it's going to show you how and why I do things. And so I really hope that you'll follow along, and I really hope it helps you. And so that'll get completed a week before most of your kids are off for spring break and also for Easter. So if you choose to follow along, it'll be great because you'll have a really solid system in place, and you'll have a clean home and ready for Easter if you're going to have people in your home. So I think that'll be really great. And then and that's the reasons why I wanted to switch to that for right now. And then after that, we will come back and I'll talk about the budgeting and the taxes. So I am still going to get to that. I haven't forgotten about it, and I will do that. So I wanted to let you know that. And I really want to just thank you all for being here. And if you couldn't be here and watch the replay, just leave me a comment and let me know, because I'd love to chat with you. So thank you so much for being here this afternoon. And now I'm going to go eat some lunch, and then I'm going to get to teaching science. So again, thank you so much for being here, everyone. It was really great. And I hope all of this more clarification and things answer some more questions and gave you some more insights. So I hope you can just take what you can from this stuff and tips and implement and tweak it however you need for your house and your family. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day.